PSN is running a great sale on some games right now, and we want to go over 12 amazing games available right now as a part of the sale for a great price. We've got a lot of games to go over, so let's just get right into this. Life is Strange: The Complete Season for $6. If you're a fan of the Telltale style experiences, the episodic-like games, with a huge emphasis on the narrative and very light on the gameplay, then you have to check out Life is Strange, a very emotional and impactful experience. I don't want to go too in-depth into the story of the game because obviously it is a very narrative-focused game, and giving away the story kind of ruins the purpose of the game, but just know it has some great storytelling, great character development, and a lot of twists and turns throughout, which is expected in these types of narrative-driven games. For just $6, it's a great pickup.
My new home. In the end, it's still high school, which kind of sucks. Then there's Chloe.
Home, shit, home. Let's dance! Or take my picture with your new camera. Come on, rock out, girl!
Then something happened.
Next up, we have Jotun Valhalla Edition for $6. Jotun is a very artistic single-player action-adventure game. It uses a hand-drawn, frame-by-frame art style that looks absolutely gorgeous. You've got some great boss battles, and it also has some awesome exploration and puzzle elements. It is very light in the enemies that you're gonna fight outside of the bosses, but the exploration and the puzzle elements are so good that that'll keep you completely engaged, and for $6 is the perfect price to pick this game up at.
Vindu földu rúnirnar, þigðu blessanir goðanna og sigraðu hina máttugu jötna.
Matterfall for $10. Matterfall was the latest game from Housemarque, one of the most underrated studios in the entire gaming world. They've created some excellent games including Super Stardust HD, Resogun, Dead Nation, and their latest game was Matterfall, a side-scrolling shooter. It's got some platforming elements and an awesome futuristic science fiction world that has been infected by an alien material known as smart matter. You control of a man in an armored battle suit and he can jump, dodge, and blast aliens. It's a pretty good platformer. The only issue is there's not a lot of replay value and it is rather short, but now that it's down to $10, it is a great deal.
Atmospheric effects and like plants. This is the place where the oxygen is produced to the city. Basically what you control with this game, in its core it's a twin stick shooter. You move with the left, shoot with the right. Here we are utilizing our dash move. You can actually dash through to enemies and stun them.
Darkest Dungeon for $10. If you want to get the most playtime for your money, then Darkest Dungeon is one of the better options. You are getting your bang for your buck, and it has you manage a roster of heroes and explore dungeons below a gothic mansion the player has inherited. It's played out in a mix of real-time movement and turn-based combat. The gameplay is very unique, and it has some cool elements such as the stress level of each hero, and it has pretty good combat and exploration elements as well. Darkest Dungeon is a pretty well-known game at this point, but if for some reason you haven't checked it out, at $10, it's a really good deal.
Now, like me, you are a part of this place.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided for $12. Deus Ex Human Revolution was one of the best games of last generation. It was a great action RPG, and Deus Ex Mankind Divided was the follow-up, and while Mankind Divided wasn't perfect, there were some issues with the storytelling and it kind of ended abruptly, and right now we don't know if we're going to be seeing a sequel anytime soon, but still there's a lot of elements to Mankind Divided that are very good. The gameplay is a leap forward from Human Revolution. It has a lot more elements and variety, and there's a decent amount of content in the game too. Now that it's down to just $12, Mankind Divided is a great pickup for those of you that want a quality RPG.
If I want a strong-arm Rucker into surrendering, it makes sense to use force. Engaging them with modified firearms, explosive nanoblades, and using my Titan shield to negate their counterfire as I roll through like a reinforced tank.
I have known exactly the kind of thug you are since the moment you entered.
Divinity Original Sin for $12. Now, I talked about bang for your buck with Darkest Dungeon, but it really doesn't get much better than Divinity Original Sin when we're talking about playtime. This is more of a hardcore RPG in that it doesn't really hold your hand much. It's at a slower pace and it is a little bit more difficult, but if you get into the game, if you give it some time, you can get super invested into it. It's a game you can easily spend over 100 hours on. Divinity Original Sin does have a bit of a learning curve to it that might scare away some players, but like I said, if you give it time, you can get really invested into it, and for $12 you should definitely check it out.
Adventurers, some of whom you'll meet along your journey, fight alone or cooperatively in local split screen or online, picking from 12 classes including the Inquisitor, a completely new class. Classes in Original Sin Enhanced Edition are archetypes, and you can completely customize them at your will as you level up with new ways to fight. Grenades, dual wielding, and of course...
Mafia III for $20. Mafia 3 was one of the more anticipated games of 2016, and many would say it didn't live up to the anticipation. Mafia 2 was an excellent game, and with Mafia 3, they stepped away from the linear focus of Mafia 2 and broadened it out to an open-world New Orleans. On the surface, it had a lot of potential, but there were some issues with the game. Some of the gameplay was rather repetitive, and the open world itself was pretty empty. However, per the norm with Mafia, the story, characters, and thematically, it was on point. It gets those elements perfect. At a full retail $60, I could see why gamers would have their issues with Mafia 3, but now at just $20, it's a far more palatable price and it does offer a quality experience.
Going out of here. Okay, here's the thing, Congressman. When Mr. Durazio made his very generous contribution...
Oh, shit, right now? Okay. Okay.
The Surge for $24. The Surge is a science fiction action RPG coming from Deck 13, the guys that also developed Lords of the Fallen, and The Surge is similar in the sense that it plays very similarly to the Souls series, which was a big comparison with Lords of the Fallen. It's a very challenging action RPG, and the game involves players using an exoskeleton to battle enemies. The exoskeleton obviously can also be customized throughout the game, and the combat has a bit of depth to it. This is another title at the full retail $60. I can see why gamers would have their issues with it, but now at just $24, and keep in mind this was a relatively recent release. It released back in May, but at this price point, it's very good. Final Fantasy 15 for $25. So much can be said about Final Fantasy 15. We know the development for this game was absolutely insane. It was announced back in 2006, finally released last year in November, and considering it had a decade-long worth of anticipation built up, it's very hard to live up to those extreme expectations, and I think most would agree in saying that Final Fantasy 15 did fall a little bit short. The main issue with the game comes from a storytelling standpoint. It's just not very good in that sense. It's a bit disjointed. However, if you can step away from that and look at this as an open world adventure, it is absolutely terrific. Obviously, visually, it looks incredible. The combat is a blast, and there's a ton of content to the game. The positives of Final Fantasy 15 definitely outweigh the negatives, and now at just $25, it is a great pickup.
This is unique warp ability. You can quickly get into the action with a long-range attack or deftly dodge incoming attacks. You can also warp out to safety to assess the battlefield or to regain precious health. For those who would prefer to slow things down while in the heat of battle, there's wait mode. While in wait mode, the player can freely target enemies.
Horizon Zero Dawn for $28. Horizon Zero Dawn was the most anticipated PlayStation 4 exclusive this year. It came to you from the guys over at Guerrilla Games, who are most known for their work on Killzone, but Horizon Zero Dawn is a far different experience. It's a post-apocalyptic open-world action RPG set in a world dominated by mech-like creatures. Yeah, definitely points for creativity, but the fundamental aspects of Horizon Zero Dawn are also very strong. The gameplay is very unique, the storytelling is very good, and obviously from a technical standpoint, this is one of the best looking games that you're gonna come across. And at just $28, if you have a PS4 and you don't own Horizon Zero Dawn, now's the time to check it out.
Bows, and these bows have different ammo types, like explosives, or you can set them on fire, or you can stun them with electricity. If you focus scan an enemy, you can see what kind of weaknesses they have. Then you can mix and match that with the weapons and the different traps that you can set as well.
The amount of options right now has substantially increased.
Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix. Kingdom Hearts is one of the most iconic franchises of all time, and there is no better way to get into the series than with the Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix collection. The collection includes Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and Kingdom Hearts Ray Chain of Memories. Along with that, you'll get various cinematics from other titles, and for just $30, it is a great entry point for the Kingdom Hearts series, or if you just want to revisit the franchise, this is a great way to do so.
A key that opens the hearts of entire worlds and allows one to obtain anything and everything.
Know this. The heart that is strong and true shall win the Keyblade.
And finally, let's keep the Kingdom Hearts theme rolling with Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue for $36. Yes, while these collections aren't absolutely ideal, we do finally want to get our hands on Kingdom Hearts 3. However, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is definitely a nice addition to the franchise. What it includes is Kingdom Hearts HD 3D Dream Drop Distance, which was a 3DS title that a lot of you guys may have missed out on, but it's a game you should definitely check out because it actually takes place after Kingdom Hearts 2. Along with that, you have another smaller experience centering around Aqua that is definitely worthwhile as well. At $36, it's still a bit pricey, but for fans of the series, you should check it out. So that wraps up 12 amazing deals available on PSN right now. What do you think? Are you picking any of these games up? Let us know in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.